Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kindred Spirits on the Roof. Last time, we got an update from Yoka about how her new friendship is going with Aki. We also learned that the captain and the vice captain of the track team are, in fact, a couple, which might explain that tension we sensed between them. And finally, we learned a little more about Yuna's past, and that she was part of a cooking club, president of a cooking club in junior high, and she might have pushed the members a little too hard and meddled in their business a bit. And it was all very good. But now, we're going to go back to June, and we're going to see what happened between Aihara and Maki, and why there's distance between them now. Yeah, hold on. Why do I feel like this is going to be a wild ride? The sound of the rain resounded from the window. Outside it was pouring, but the sound was softened behind the single pane of glass. The closed curtains may have been helping too. For the first time in a while, our after-school work had ended early, so Senpai and I were spending the extra time in our hideout. Well, part of it was that we'd finished early. The other part was that I took Senpai's hand and practically dragged her here when we finished. I mean, if we'd stayed in the classroom any longer, somebody would have shown up with more work for us, no question. Thanks to my small efforts, we managed to reach the room without attracting attention or any more work. That was lucky. What I watched on TV last night, the trouble I'd gotten into at breakfast today, that sort of stuff. Senpai has been laughing and enjoying our conversation. I feel like the conversation is sort of going in circles, but it's not so bad. After all, I'm alone with Senpai here. In the hideout I found after May exams, the secret place belonging to only Senpai and me. Here, no one can find us. No one can give us more work. We can relax and chat, sometimes drinking tea or eating snacks. I think Senpai likes it too. On days when we finish work early, we sort of end up here naturally, without having to ask. Then we sit on the couch until it's time to go home and chat about stuff. I ask Senpai about herself and tell her about myself. I'm so glad I found a place like this, a secret place in the school, a place in my beloved school where I can be with my beloved Senpai. We can spend a nice relaxed time in here, like now, listening to the sound of the rain. Even if I'm with Senpai for most of lunch and after school, it's still work. Work for the beautification committee, and favors that teachers and other students ask Senpai for. Sometimes I wonder if Senpai and I really need to be doing these things, but she always accepts them, so there's nothing else to it. And I can't really complain since I was doing the same thing that first time I met her. And since I'm still new to this, all I can do is help Senpai out and try not to hold her back or make mistakes. I'm too nervous to talk to her while we work, and I don't want to disappoint her by doing something stupid because I'm not paying attention. That'd be terrible. So I try to stay serious when I'm helping her. We don't work in complete silence or anything, but most of the things we say are questions about what we're doing or Senpai instructing me. We can't talk about the sort of things we talk about here. That's what makes this place so important. And here Senpai can talk to me about whatever she wants, too. Our conversation today isn't that exciting, but that's probably because of the weather. The rain sort of relaxes you, you know? It's almost time to go home, but I'd like to stay here with her listening to it forever. Hey, Senpai! I wanted to tell her the feeling suddenly filling me. I wanted her to say, yes, me too. But when I looked over to where she was sitting next to me, oh. When did that happen? Senpai was dozing with her head against the armrest. It looked a little uncomfortable, like she'd just tilted over from where she'd been sitting in the middle of the couch. Senpai? I tried calling to her one more time, but got no answer. What should I do? Should I wake her up? But It's not like I need her to respond immediately or anything. I just want to tell her something and hear her agree with me. She must be tired. We had a lot of stuff to do again today, and we finished it all as fast as possible so we could come here. I told her we should relax in the hideout when we finished, and Senpai agreed. We worked really hard after that. And Senpai's a third year too. She's probably studying for entrance exams and stuff. Entrance exams, huh? Senpai said that she'd have to retire from the beautification committee in the fall to study for her entrance exams. Exams then. Graduation. Oh no, I'm feeling really sad now. So sad, I'm almost scared. Next spring, Senpai will graduate and leave this school. It's not even a year from now. Senpai. That's all the time I'll have together with Senpai. At some point I had stood from the couch and gone over to Senpai's side. I bent down next to Senpai's face where her head rested on the armrest, with my knees on the floor. I was close enough to hear Senpai's breathing. I don't know how much more time I'll be able to spend with Senpai here. The buzz of the rain falling outside and the taps of the drops hitting the window, the sounds echoed through our hideout, softened by the closing curtains. It was already pretty late, and there weren't many people left in the inner building. The only noise came from the windows. Senpai and I were sitting here alone, listening to the rain. Hey, Senpai. My voice was a whisper, because I didn't want to wake her up. I wanted her to rest well, but it sort of felt like my time alone with Senpai was slipping away. And while the time seemed to fade, I wondered how far my relationship with Senpai could go. She said we could start with being friends, and that was true. We are friends now. Yeah, we're not just a freshman and senior on the same committee. We're closer than that. We can talk about all sorts of things when we're here. I talk about things at home and things at school, and Senpai listens, and she talks about all sorts of things too. And now, my earnest Senpai, so reliable and so mature, I bet she'd never doze off in class. And here she is sleeping in front of me. Is that how relaxed she feels around me? Senpai wouldn't do this with just a normal friend, right? That's how special I am, right? Hey, Senpai. From where I sat on the floor, I just needed to put my elbow on the couch, and Senpai's face would be right in front of mine. I didn't intend to do it, but there was just so much going through my mind. I slowly brought my face closer to Senpai's. Damn, how forward of you, Maki. But that's already been established. We know she's forward. And touched her lips with mine. With my eyes closed and everything black before me, all I could feel was a soft touch brushing my lips. Senpai's lips. Her faint breaths tickling my cheek in her sleep. That was all. My head was spinning and forcing out my thoughts. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt, but it all seemed so far away. All I could think about was kissing Senpai. My mind was filled only by the sensation of my lips touching hers. That was all that was left. I wanted to stay like that forever. Oh boy. Why do I feel like this isn't going to end well? I wasn't thinking about anything else, like what I would do when Senpai woke up. Yeah, that's always weird. The sensation of her lips suddenly pulled away, and I heard her voice. In that instant, my whole body turned to ice. My head, my heart, everything. I opened my eyes again and pulled away from Senpai, so quickly that I fell back onto my butt from where I was kneeling. At the same time, I felt a cold sweat creep over me. It was because I'd seen Senpai's face. She looked surprised. Yeah, I guess that would be surprising. I was kissing her when she woke up. She looked at me with her eyes a little wide. Was it just my imagination? Or was she a little pale too? Was that how startled she was? What do I do? What can I say? Should I give her an excuse? Like what? No, I couldn't do that. Also, what excuse could you offer in a moment like that? I'm not sure there is one. But why can't I smile? Smile because I'm happy? Because I'm embarrassed? I can't do either. Since it's just Senpai. That was all. I just loved Senpai so much. It was because that feeling became too much to bear. I don't know why, but I just wanted to so badly. I couldn't stop myself. That was all, and yet... Why? Why is Senpai crying? Where did those tears come from? Could it be? Could it be that I've done something I shouldn't have done? Oh. What should I do? What should I say? My head seemed to be filling again with those thoughts, but the only thing that came out of my mouth was... Oh. Dude, that's so relatable, and that's the worst when you like really love someone and you want to touch them. It doesn't even have to be a kiss. You just want to brush up against them or, put your hand on their shoulder or something. It's the worst, Maki. I feel you, girl. I said and hung my head, no longer able to look at Senpai's face. I was sitting on the floor with my hands sprawled forward, practically prostrating myself. It was the only thing I could do. That's how terrible what I did was. Yeah, but saying, more or less, you still shouldn't touch someone without their permission. But I get the temptation to want to. I choked all my words and had to grit my teeth to stop myself from crying. What was I supposed to do? How much do I need to apologize? Was I just misunderstanding? I had to have been, after all. Senpai was so shocked that she cried because I kissed her. Her voice wavered, unlike her, troubled, unrecognizable from the voice I'd chatted with, trembling. That's not true. I'm sure it isn't. That's not it at all. I couldn't summon any more words, not even to apologize. Couldn't even raise my head. I was scared to look at Senpai's face. Her frozen face. Like her voice. I heard Senpai's voice from above me. It was her usual kind voice, yet. She was being kind to me, yet but her voice was like ice to me. Her words froze next to my ear and slid into my head.
私なんてことしちゃったんだろう。
Oh. Yeah, what are they not going to talk about it beyond that and just pretend everything's okay? That makes me sad. All right, onward. We've come this far, after all. Maki-chan walked behind me, though, through the hallway. Just a step behind, really. Oh, this is nice. This is our first scene from Aihara's perspective. Ooh, I'm really looking forward to this. She still helps me with my work after school. That hasn't changed since then. Yet this step of distance has. And what changed it was Maki-chan kissing me, I think. I had nodded off a little and woke to Maki-chan kissing me. I was so surprised that I got a little teary. But Maki-chan had been so shocked to see my tears that she dropped to the floor an apology right there. I hadn't gotten angry or condemned her, but I don't know if I fully accepted it, even if I told her that I forgave her for the kiss. But I had left things as they were, which created... Yeah, that awkwardness is never fun. This step of distance. This silence. Even though we used to talk about all sorts of things, now when there's no particular need for words, none come out. From Maki-chan or from me. Maki-chan didn't run away. On that day too, she didn't try to lie about the kiss. She apologized. And on the next day, she came to me again after school to help me with my work. We headed to our tasks like this, walking down the hallways wordlessly. And when we started working on something, we worked in silence, not speaking except for necessary instructions and the like. We can't help this awkwardness between us, yet she hasn't run away. She still comes and follows behind me. Maki-chan's really strong, isn't she? She's getting much better at helping me, too. She's been very quick to figure out how to do her work efficiently. She easily carries things that I find heavy. She's so small, yet so strong. And she's always proactive when we need to go get a tool or contact someone. She's really a good kid and a hard worker, even at a time like this. Is it because of her feelings for me? Is that just me being conceited? Perhaps it's still true, though. We're both girls, yet she confessed to me, even knowing that might have been a strange thing to do. I'm sure that took a lot of courage. I didn't know how to react to Maki-chan's feelings. I've never been in love before, or even confessed to. That's why I told her we could start as friends, but even I understood that. I didn't want Maki-chan to start hating me for rejecting her affection. It wasn't because I like Maki-chan. I didn't want someone to think badly of me, even an underclassman I had only met once before. I didn't want her to think particularly highly of me. I just didn't want her to hate me. I didn't want to disappoint her. Wow, so this really shed some light, and maybe we might have been able to infer this from Aihara's conversation with Yuna that we have later on. But, that's a really interesting twist and insight. So, Aihara sounds like she has no feelings for Maki whatsoever. It's just, I didn't want to disappoint you, and I have a hard time saying no. So I said the friends thing because I didn't want you to hate me, and I didn't want to reject you. And because I had hoped that maybe Maki-chan would be able to understand me. That's right, because she wanted to, she talks to Yuna. Aihara talks to Yuna about this idea of, like, wanting someone to ask her and to understand what she feels. But Maki's not the one to do that. Maki is not gonna understand those feelings, Aihara. Clearly, you know this already. That's probably why I'd been so surprised by the kiss. Considering Maki-chan's feelings for me, I think I could have been partially at fault for dozing off in our hideout in the first place. Oh no, that's silly. Don't think you're at fault because you decided to take a little nap. But it hadn't truly shocked me. Not because I had hated her kissing me, but because she hadn't asked me first. Yeah, well, that's okay to think. Like I said, it's not your fault that you fell asleep. And you shouldn't be blaming yourself. Maki is in the wrong because she kissed you without asking while you were sleeping, of all things. Oh, I'm sure she's waiting for me to forgive her for the kiss, but I can't do it. Why, I wonder? Oh, Aihara, that's just you developing a sense of value for yourself. This is cool. I'm really liking Aihara's thought process, getting in her head a little bit, because I think that's very relatable. From what we know from Aihara, thanks to that discussion she has with Yuna, I think it's very believable that she would feel at fault for something like this, when in reality, Maki is in the wrong. I know I said it was understandable that Maki would want to touch Aihara at any cost, but doesn't change the fact that she still kissed someone without their permission, and Aihara wasn't particularly thrilled about it, but she still feels uneasy about addressing it because she doesn't want Maki to hate her, and she doesn't want to reject her, and she feels at fault because she thinks she's at fault because she fell asleep in the room. That's like the worst. That's the worst kind of blaming you could do to yourself. And so that's really interesting. And that's really a nice perspective and a nice story to bring to this game. And I'm definitely excited to see what's going to happen with the two of them, because who knows? Really quite a twist. Because I think my problem with this relationship when we were first introduced to it is the fact that it seemed to be that general, like, you kind of have like a naive girl who doesn't really know what she thinks about love, and then you have a girl who's determined and she's going to show her what it means to be loved, and then they're going to fall in love and have this relationship afterwards, and it's going to be wonderful and great and happy ending. But Aihara's not naive at all, we find out. She just fears rejection. And if Maki, and so that's why she's kind of has Maki hanging on, she kind of lets Maki hang on to her. And maybe she really does appreciate Maki's friendship. I think that's really true, or that could be true, but she's stringing her along because she can't say no and she doesn't want to reject her. And now this huge thing has happened and things have gotten awkward and Maki's being more assertive, and at some point Aihara is going to have to put her foot down, or else things are going to get real bad real fast. So I have completely changed my opinion on this relationship. I love what's going on with these two characters. Okay, enough of me monologuing. Let's get back into it. Maki-chan, who was always by my side, walking just a little bit behind me, wasn't there today. She told me she had something unexpected to help with at home, and had left first thing after school. She apologized again and again when she said it. I was just a little bit relieved, and a bit lonely. Maki-chan hasn't spoken much to me since that day. She seems to be tormenting herself every day since. Today, I didn't have to see her acting so unlike herself. That's why I was relieved. I'm so selfish. I know I'm partially at fault for making her feel that way, too. And to think I would still feel lonely without her around. Oh, this won't do. I'd stopped working. I'd forgotten how many stacks I'd put together. I let out a small sigh. I got myself back together, recounted the stacks, checked to make sure I had the order of the printouts right, and then... do you need any help? Huh? I turned to the voice at the entrance to the classroom and a second-year girl with her hair in a ponytail. Well... Oh, my name is Tomi. I'm a second year. Satake-sensei asked me to help you out. Tomi-san? Satake-sensei asked her? Satake-sensei was the one who had asked me to put these together, but I didn't even have time to wonder what to do. The answer just came out on its own like it always does. Is that right? It's all right, though. I'll be done with this in no time. Maybe not no time, but it wasn't something I couldn't finish on my own. I didn't need to ask anyone to help me. That's why I answered that way, but... Oh, don't worry about it. I wasn't doing anything. It'll be quicker if we do it together, Tomi-san said, coming into the classroom. She walked right over to the desk where I stacked all the printouts. After coming this far, it might be worse to turn her down now. I couldn't help but think that way. Really? In that case, could you help me for a bit? Of course. Tomi-san glanced over the piles of printouts, then said, Should we start by putting them all together first? Yeah, that sounds good. Then let's stack them in order on the desks. Right. Wow, this Tomi-san is impressive. She weighed the options out in her mind in no time. I appreciate efficiency too, so I had no objections to Tomi-san's suggestion. I lined up the printouts like she proposed. We arranged the piles so that we just have to staple them. This is for a first-year class, isn't it? Seems like it. We were silent for a while we worked, barely saying a word to each other. How many staplers do you have? Huh? Oh, only the one. Then, want to start stapling them, senpai? I can finish the rest of the stacks. Sure. I stapled the completed printouts together. The sound of the papers rustling, the snap-snap of the stapler. The sounds echoed through the wooden walls of the inner building classroom. As the piles of printouts gradually grew shorter, the stack of stapled packets grew higher. It's a little calming, I think. The feeling of a pile of unfinished work shrinking and completed work stacking up. Though it makes me feel a little like a workaholic. Yep, codependency breeds addictions like workaholism. Just saying, Aihara. This is all of them. Yep, looks like it. All that remained on the desks were some leftover printouts and our completed packets. Amazing. I don't think that even took an hour. Thank you, it was Tomi-san, right? That went pretty quickly. No problem. This would have been a lot of work to do on your own, though. You might be right. I appreciate the help. It really was a big help. I thought that might be all I'd be able to get done today, that I'd have to save the rest of my work until tomorrow. Seeing how efficiently we worked, I remembered. This second year who'd helped me, Tomi-san. Come to think of it, you've helped me once before, right, Tomi-san? Yeah, it was last year, and you were helping me, Aihara-senpai. Was I? You were very efficient today, though, Tomi-san. That's why I remembered. Is that so? It was a long time ago. We hadn't talked much, and I think I'd only just heard her name, but... I remembered you too, senpai. You were a lot of help back then, and... You're quite famous, Aihara-senpai. Oh, you think so? Famous? She might be right. Famous enough for this girl to know me, at least. Yes, you're always doing stuff like this after school, right? I see you around the campus a lot. Is that right? I'm a little embarrassed. I could only summon a bitter smile. What did she mean by famous, I wondered. Her face made it clear that she didn't seem to mean it as an entirely positive thing. We just need to bring these to Satake-sensei, right? I'll take them over. Oh, it's too much to carry on your own. It was a lot of work getting it all here. I'll help you. But that many papers can be pretty heavy. We'd have an easier time carrying them together. and I couldn't let Tomi-san do all the carrying herself after helping me. I was about to stand from my chair to pick up some of the printouts when... This isn't something you should have to do, is it, Aihara-senpai? Huh? For a moment, I couldn't fully process what Tomi-san had said. These are for a first-year class, right? This has nothing to do with you, senpai. This is just busy work, isn't it? Why? Why do you have to do this, senpai? I gradually figured out what she was asking. I'd never imagined I'd suddenly hear those words, and coming from someone like Tomi-san, who I was barely acquainted with. I'm sorry, was it too much work, helping me? No, not at all. I just want to know. Why do you do all this work for so many people every day, senpai? I understand the work you do for the beautification committee, but you get all this work that has nothing to do with that pushed onto you. Isn't it strange to you? Don't you ask yourself why it's you who has to do all these things? There's things they should be able to ask other people to help with, or just do for themselves. But everyone asks you because you always agree. They rely on you. They push even simple things on you. Don't you think you're just being used? I just stared at Tomi-san's face. I wondered why she would say things like this. Why she would tell me things like this. And how should I respond to her? I think what Tomi-san was saying was completely natural, but I wondered why she had to say it to me. She probably wanted to know my answer. That's what I thought. Like she'd said, it probably seemed like a strange thing for me to do. She probably wanted to know why I'm always doing this sort of thing. How could I answer her? I thought about it, and in the end, the thing is, I hesitated a little. I know that sort of thing does happen on occasion, but I'm sure I decided to come out with my honest feelings. Don't want to be of help to people or anything like that. Why? I don't know. I don't want people to be upset if I turn them down. I don't want people to think of me as cold-hearted or anything. It's just that I don't want to betray people's expectations, I think. I may have wanted Tomi-san to listen, since she'd asked me so sincerely. I think. I didn't necessarily want to be praised by people for helping them. I just don't want them to think badly of me for turning them down. I think that's why I can't say no. Because of this, I feel like I shouldn't say anything to the people who take advantage of me. I wanted her to know about me. I don't think what you're saying is wrong, Tomi-san, but I can't help accepting them. I can't turn them down. I think about it sometimes. Not what you said about why I'm the one doing all this, but that I wish someone would understand why I accept these requests. I know it's a selfish thought, but I've wanted someone to ask me why. I don't want them to praise me or tell me that I'm wrong, I want them to ask. I think that sometimes. But they won't understand what you're thinking if you don't say anything, and you won't understand what they're thinking either. If you don't say anything, if you don't tell them, nothing will change. They sounded like they were incredibly painful words for her to say. At the same time, Tomi-san suddenly picked up the stack of the printouts, so suddenly that I was left a bit dumbfounded where I sat in my chair. They were heavy, but she lifted them, and it's not going to be easier if you never say anything. Leaving me with those quiet words, she walked out of the classroom. I found myself glued to my seat, even though I could have caught her immediately if I'd gotten up. For some reason, I felt like I should go after her, and unable to do so, I didn't feel hurt by Tomi-san's words. In fact, Tomi-san had seemed to be the one hurting from the things she said to me. That's what it sounded like, and I was sure it was because she had the same sort of feelings I did, that she couldn't tell anyone. That's what I thought. I felt better off than just because I'd answered her questions. and she was probably only feeling worse after hearing my answer. I finally stood up, alone in the classroom, and tidied up the remaining printouts and stapler. They won't understand if you don't say anything, huh? I suppose she's right. But I'd never said anything. I just silently accepted everyone else. After spending all that time doing it, I think today was the first time I'd actually put it in words. But it hadn't been the person I wanted to tell. To the person I wanted to make understand. Yep, going through that conversation again, even from Aihara's perspective and knowing what was going to happen, still like, need to take a deep breath here. It was very good. Very, very good. I think we have time to continue with this storyline. We hadn't been to our hideout in a while. Unlike that day in the middle of the rainy season, today it was hot with strong sunlight. On that day, the curtains had been blocking the sound of the rain. Today they were blocking the sunlight. What hadn't changed were the people here, Maki-chan and me, since it was a place just for the two of us. It's been a pretty long time since we've come here. Yes, we hadn't visited once since that day. Neither of us even suggested going. Even though we were still working together almost every day, like nothing had changed, even though Maki-chan was still helping me with all the tasks I accepted, neither of us could say it, that we should rest and talk. The secret place Maki-chan had found, our hideout. I had really been surprised the first time she brought me there. And I had been happy that Maki-chan had worked so hard to find it, that she had told me about it, and the time we had spent there had been fun. Time spent talking about whatever we wanted without having to worry about work finding us and piling up. It's been a place of real relaxation. It wasn't that I wanted to slack off or anything, but being able to go there was definitely a welcome retreat when I felt tired. The time we spent here relaxing after finishing our work. Maki-chan tried so hard to come up with all sorts of things to talk about, and in response I talked to her about various other things too. We talked about ourselves and whatever else came to mind. I realized I'd forgotten what it was like to chat like that, to spend time like that in a place like this, and I thought it had all been ruined that day. But by who? Maki-chan because she'd kissed me? No. Not her. I'm sure the one who ruined them was me. Let's sit. Since going into the back of the room, our hideout, Maki-chan had been almost completely silent. She was standing still and stiff. A first-year girl, shorter than me, a girl whose face I couldn't see when it pointed down, like now. Even though I was the one who was making her look down like that, I still wanted to see her face. I sat down on the couch first. If I did that, I'd be able to see Maki-chan's face. When I sat down and looked up at her, I saw her stiff expression, her lips shut tight. That face was familiar to me, a face like she was scared of something, but resolved to accept it. It was my fault she'd been making that face ever since that day. Come on, Maki-chan, sit. Okay. With a quiet response, Maki-chan sat down next to me. She hung her head again, and like before, I couldn't see her face. What should I do? I didn't want to make Maki-chan look like this. I wanted her to understand what sort of person I am. I wanted someone to understand. It's the same thing I told Tomi-san yesterday. That I'm concerned with what people think of me. That it isn't just out of goodwill that I accept work from people. That I want people to think well of me. That I just don't want people to think badly of me. I wanted her to understand that's the sort of person I am. Not everyone. No. Just Maki-chan. Just this girl. an honest, straightforward, cute underclassman, a first-year girl like a younger sister, a girl who had told me she loved me as her face turned bright red. That's why. Then that moment when I'd woken up to discover her face just in front of me, her lips touching mine, I'd been so surprised. Even Maki-chan would push something onto me, ignoring my feelings. I had thought that. But what about me? Hey, Maki-chan? Yes? Her voice was so quiet, it seemed it might disappear. Her hands were clenched into fists on top of her knees. Listen, I had to tell her what I was thinking, what I wanted her to understand. About that day when you kissed me, Maki-chan. Maki-chan jumped for a moment. That was the issue hanging between us, after all. I'm really not angry. I was just surprised. But you were crying, senpai, so I realized I had done something really awful. Listen, Maki-chan. I'm not angry that you kissed me, Maki-chan. I mean that, but anyone would be surprised if someone kissed them while they were sleeping. Right. I'm sorry. But I think I've been doing something awful to you for a while now too, Maki-chan. Huh? After all, you told me right from the beginning that you loved me, Maki-chan, and I told you we could start as friends. But all that time afterward, I never thought about why you might have told me that. I never tried to understand what your love really was. Because of that, it was wrong for me to think I couldn't understand when you kissed me, even if I was surprised. Senpai, I think I need to know more about you, Maki-chan. I'm sorry I've been so selfish. No, that's not true at all. Oh, there it is. I feel like it's been a really long time since I've seen Maki-chan's face. Right next to me, in this place where we're so close, her usual bright, cheerful smile hasn't returned yet, but now I can see her eyes looking straight back at mine. I want to know more about you, Maki-chan, more than I did until now, and I want you to know more about me too. Will you tell me about yourself, Maki-chan? And will you listen to more about me? I want to talk about that sort of thing more with you. Senpai? Maki-chan? Tears were spilling from Maki-chan's eyes. I hadn't noticed that she grabbed my hands at some point, but now her own were shaking. I thought you were gonna dump me today. What? I thought you were gonna say you didn't like me anymore, that I should stop following you. I wouldn't. I don't know what I'd do if you told me that. I see. I'm sorry I made you feel so anxious. I wouldn't say that. Please don't cry. Okay. I gripped Maki-chan's hands, her hands smaller than mine, trembling from all the anxiety she felt. I held them as gently as I could. It's almost summer vacation, right? Yes. I've got some summer courses, and I'm sure you have some plans too, Maki-chan. Yes. But if it's all right with you, would you like to hang out a bit during vacation? We could just go out for lunch together or something. How does that sound? Oh, yay, progress! Do you mean like a date? A date? Yes, that's right. Let's go on a date. Senpai! Maki-chan's eyes were still full of tears, but her smile had returned a little. It meant so much to me to see it. Maki-chan, who told me she loved me. I love you too, Maki-chan, my precious underclassman and friend. I imagine having a little sister is something like this. I still don't know if that love will connect with the love Maki-chan feels for me. I've never been in love like that before. I don't know if the love I'm feeling now is a romantic love, or if it will become romantic love, but I think it would be nice if I could get even a little bit closer to Maki-chan's feelings. That's how important Maki-chan is to me. Senpai, call me Miki. Miki-san. I want to understand more. I want to understand her more than anyone else. And I want her to understand me more than anyone else, too. Oh, yay, we have progress! Oh, all's well that ends well. I feel like I can breathe. Sorry, I didn't comment a lot on that because I got really into it, if you couldn't tell, so... Thanks for listening to me read all that out and not really provide any commentary. I guess that wraps up everything we know up to this date, up to, summer break for Aihara and Maki. So I will talk to you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, as always, and take care, y'all.